What if I told you that being truly intelligent isn't really about how much you know, but how you think? Today, we're going to uncover some of those subtle, often unseen habits that really define a deep thinker.
So let's just start with a really simple question. When you hear that word smart, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
For a lot of us, it's probably something like a high test score, a fancy degree, a long list of academic achievements. But what if that's just a tiny piece of the whole puzzle? Real intelligence, as we're about to see, runs so much deeper than just a number on a page.
Yeah, real, profound intelligence, it doesn't usually show up in some high-stakes exam. Instead, you find it in the quiet, everyday moments. It's kind of woven into our daily habits and the unique ways we see the world. So let's start by looking inward. Okay, first up, how you think. This is all about that internal world inside your mind. The conversations you have with yourself and the way you process things long before you ever say a word out loud.
And this brings us to a really key habit called cognitive reflection. It's basically the simple act of pausing before you react. So instead of just going with your gut, you actually take a step back. You question that first instinct and you look at the situation with real, genuine curiosity.
And that leads to the two faces of overthinking. On one hand, you've got destructive worry. That's the anxious loop of thoughts that just goes nowhere, right? But on the other hand, you have productive reflection. Now, this is the intelligent kind of overthinking. It's not driven by anxiety, it's driven by curiosity. It's focused on finding solutions and ultimately a deeper understanding.
Next up, we have intellectual humility. Now, this isn't about thinking less of yourself at all. It's about being more realistic about what you actually know. It's having that quiet confidence to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm willing to find out. It's being genuinely open to changing your mind.
And honestly, this is why a little self-doubt can be a superpower. See, deep thinkers question themselves because they are keenly aware of how much they don't know. It's funny, right? It's often the people with the least amount of knowledge who are the most certain they're brilliant. True intelligence lies in being able to see your own blind spots.
All right, so we've explored the inner world, but how do these habits actually show up on the outside? Our next section is all about how you engage, how you connect with the people and all the ideas floating around you.
At the very heart of a deep thinker is this relentless curiosity. You could call it an intellectual hunger. They just have this genuine desire to learn for the sake of learning. It doesn't matter if it's some random piece of trivia or a totally new perspective that challenges everything they thought. It's all about being open to the world.
And that curiosity, it naturally leads to this next behavior. We live in a world that tends to reward the loudest person in the room, but the deep thinker, they understand that there's an immense power in just stepping back and observing.
And this isn't about just being quiet. It's a whole process called active observation. It all starts with listening intently, and I mean listening to understand, not just waiting for your turn to talk. When you do that, you naturally start to speak less. And in that quiet space, your mind finally has the room to process things more deeply, and you start to catch all those little details everyone else misses.
So, we've talked about how you think and how you engage. But what about how you recharge? Our final section is about a really powerful and often misunderstood habit, the need for solitude. If you're someone who genuinely enjoys your own company, that doesn't make you antisocial. It probably just means your mind is built for deep work. Think about it. A brain that's constantly absorbing information, questioning things, and reflecting, it needs quiet time to connect all the dots. Solitude isn't just empty space. It's where the real insights happen.
This really just brings it all together, doesn't it? If you're someone who finds yourself questioning things, always staying curious, and you're perfectly happy in your own company, it's not that you're weird. It's that your mind is literally wired for deeper reflection. So, as we wrap things up, I want to leave you with this to think about. Of all the habits we've covered, that productive reflection, the intellectual humility, the curiosity, observation, solitude, which ones really resonate with you the most? Because just recognizing them in yourself, well, that's the first step to harnessing their power.